Hello everyone, my name is Sam Polesi. I'm working as a dermatologist in Gothenburg, Sweden. In this very short author video, I would like to summarize the findings from our last publication published in ActaDV. The primary aim of this investigation was to develop a CNN that included both the clinical close-up and the dermoscopic image of a melanoma and compare its performance to 6 independent dermatologists. The secondary aim was to identify which predefined clinical and dermoscopic features that were useful for dermatologists when clinically discriminating between invasive and in situ melanomas. So we conducted a retrospective single-center investigation, and we used images obtained from our department in the time period 2015 to 2021. Overall, approximately 1,600 lesions had both an available clinical close-up and a dermoscopic image, and these were included in the investigation. Only one image pair was used per lesion, and these 1,600 lesions were randomized into a training set, a validation set, and a test set. And you might be curious how the test set images look like. Well, all these images are shared in the online supplementary, so feel free to access those. You can easily access them using this QR link. When making the assessment of whether the lesion was invasive or in situ, all dermatologists were also required to answer a number of questions. Firstly, whether they believed the lesion to be raised or flat, and whether they believed the following listed dermoscopic features were present or absent. So this is the overall AUC for the sensitivity and specificity for correctly identifying invasive melanomas. And as you can see up here, each dot here represents one single dermatologist, and the combined AUC for the dermatologist, the ROC curve, is up here. And it is superior to the CNN, which is down here. When we only integrated thin melanomas, that is melanoma in situ and invasive melanoma with a breast of thickness less than 1 millimeter, you can see that the ROC curves are lower. But you can still see that the overall achievement of the dermatologists, it outperforms that of the CNN, which is here. And these are the ROC curves when we only included invasive melanomas with a breast of thickness of more than 1 millimeter. Interestingly, when we separate the CNN into 3 different models, one that integrates both the clinical close-up image and the dermoscopy image, displayed here in red, and compare that performance to a model that only integrates the dermoscopic image, the blue line here, we don't see any difference. However, both these models achieved significantly better than a model that only integrated the clinical close-up images. As you can see, raised lesions were more suggestive of invasive melanomas, whereas only brown and or black features were more often observed among in situ melanomas. You can also see that atypical blue-white structures, shiny white lines, and polymorphous vessels had a fairly high sensitivity for invasive melanoma. Clearly, a dermoscopic feature or a clinical feature is only useful if dermatologists agree or disagree on their presence or absence, and here you can see the inter-observer agreement among all included features. You can see that overall, the features displayed an inter-observer agreement that was moderate. As displayed here, you can see that raised lesions, atypical blue-white structures, polymorphous vessels, and shiny white lines all correlated with invasive melanoma, whereas extensive regression and only brown and or black dermoscopic features correlated with the melanoma in situ. The same pattern was observed when we split the melanomas into a group of thin and thick lesions. So what are the take-home messages of this investigation? Well, the dermatologists collectively achieved a significantly better accuracy compared to the CNN algorithm in correctly estimating melanoma thickness. Moreover, we can say that only brown and/or black dermoscopic features and also possibly extensive regression correlate with melanoma in situ, whereas raised lesions with atypical blue-white structures, shiny white lines, and polymorphous vessels are more indicative of invasive melanoma. Thank you very much for your kind attention.